Now 6, so it's kind of challenging to, of course I only was live on one station, and that was Magic 94.9. So that's you're used to it being the fast version, the slow version, and that's the fast version,
I like
instrumental.
that. Sounds more jazzy.
Yeah. So anyway, you all are going to be over here. There's one chair. Rasheedah, you can sit there. You can stand because you're used to standing and hanging out and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Okay. So what we're going to do is, do you have your questions? You have your talking points?
I did get some questions.
Right.
You can take whatever spin you want on it. It's up to you. Here we go. On this side, I asked a couple of people to ask me questions. How did you choose a name? Blah, blah. You can
Okay,
for yourself.
right. So I'm going to have you started sitting in the chair.
Okay.
Talking about this.
Okay.
Then and tell me your name again.
Sharon Taylor.
Sharon Taylor.
And on the back side of that paper, some questions about the book. Don't come down from the Chinaberry tree.
Okay. All right. Now, what's the name of the program?
Keep it moving.
Keep ref. Yeah. All right. How have you enjoyed to keep it moving? Okay.
A lot.
All right. So I want sentences, long sentences. If I ask you, what do you think of Miss Sharif? And and then I'll eventually, if I have time, I'll get to our FAU third-year student coming up. So we're going to have it where the microphone is, you're about 6 inches away. So push it towards you. Pull it towards you. Pull it. Just pull it. Yeah, it stretches like that.
Like that?
Yes. And you want to get so that you're almost like that. You're right up on it. So
how's that?
That's fine. That's fine. Let me close this door. Now, towards the end, I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you, but I have a lot of public service announcements to do. So, Sharon, are you 18 yet?
No, sir.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is, since you're not 18, I'm only going to call you, what's your middle name?
Ariel.
Ariel? Oh, you can kind of pick up on how, now when it's time for you to talk, you can just, since you're both about the same, you can kind of, Rasheedah, I might ask you to just scoot out of the chair a little bit. Okay. Let's go ahead and, let's see, where's my program here? 3, 2, 1. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Spectrum here on this Cox Media Group station. My name is Dayle Greene, host of the program. I'm delighted to welcome a couple of people here this morning for the program. We have an author, now we've had her on before, and she wrote a book, or she has written a book, get it right, Dayle, Don't Come Down from the Chinaberry Tree. Rasheedah Sharif, how are you this morning?
I'm doing fine, Dale. Thank you for having me on today.
Good. Just a little closer to that mic, and that'll be great.
Yes, sir.
You have a book that is out there, so to speak, for people to read. What makes your book different from other books about the topic of survival?
Well, Dale, to tell you, my book, Don't Come Down from the Chinaberry Tree, is a collection of short stories based on my life, my journey growing up in Newark, New Jersey, otherwise known as Brick City. If you survive the bricks, you can survive anywhere. There's nothing made up. They're all true stories about a young girl and how she survived the streets, how she survived the crime, how she survived the drugs, and so forth and so on. So when a person reads this book, they know that I'm keeping it real. There are no imitations or anything like that. This book is designed to give some insight so it can help a paved the way for other young girls who's pretty much ended up in ways that I was in when I was coming up.
Right. There's a character named Rose. Why did you choose that, to go that route?
Well, Rose is symbolic to what I went through during a spell of domestic violence. I was about 16 years old. I was pregnant with my second child at 17 years old, and this little girl used to always see me sitting in the window and just staring outside. One day she knocked on my door and she had a handful of roses. And that was the first time I smiled in a very long time when she handed me those roses. And after that, she began to bring me roses on a regular basis. And I began to take a moment and to smell those roses and to look at the color of those roses and how beautiful those roses were. And the name Rose came to me as I was writing the story because it just makes me smile, it makes me happy. And the rose is very symbolic to helping me to have the courage that I had to come up out of a situation that was seemingly impossible.
Right. How does your book break through the barriers of abuse? Let you count the ways, right?
Woo, my God, that's a heavy one right there. Let me just say, Dayle, that breaking through the barriers is breaking through cycles of abuse. My grandmother was abused. My mother was abused. I was abused. So looking at that and understanding the dynamics of how one generation after another is continuing the same cycle of abuse helps me to understand and to put forth ways that I can help young girls today to break that cycle. And they won't have daughters that's ending up the same way that they are in if they are being abused or if their mother was abused. Because I'm an educator, I'm a former high school teacher, and a lot of the young ladies in there, they tell me stories about their mothers being abused by their boyfriends or their fathers. And then when we probe a little bit deeper, we find out that their grandparents were abused as well. So we need to tap into why is this continuing to happen. So my book, Don't Come Down from the Chinaberry Tree, we read the stories, we talk about the stories, out of the box kind of conversation, not your typical, we just gonna read it to comprehend it. No, we read it for a reason. And the reason is to help them to understand what's going on inside of them and how to tear down, break down those walls of fear and come out fighting with courage. Mental fighting and spiritual fighting is what these young ladies need. And I feel that my book offers a lot of solutions to that and giving practical strategies on how to have that to happen in their lives.
Right. We've been familiar and read with just horror, disgust, if you will, about what happened in the Midwest and Cleveland. I'm not going to name names, but some people were held for against their will for a number of years, and that's one extreme. Tell us about this whole thing about the control factor, because that was prevalent in that situation. The control factor. I'm going to control all your movements, basically.
Well, based on my own experiences and from what women have told me, that whole control issue comes in from you feeling helpless. You don't have any way out. You feel as though you don't have any way out because the person who's trying to gain control over you or have control over you have said certain things to you, have done certain things to you that make you feel as though you have no resources, no support. You have no way out. And to take it a bit further, they give you example. They use you as an example. They'll beat on you. They'll curse at you. They'll throw you against the wall. They'll do all kind of fear.
And then they'll have sex with you.
And then they'll have sex with you. Yeah. And my book keep it real. My book keeps it really real, and it goes into some of those things in terms of after the beating. Then comes the sex. That's so typical. And then the young ladies and the women, they feel like this is okay, but it's not okay, okay? But a lot of times they are afraid, even though they might know deep down inside that it's not okay, they are afraid to say no. They are afraid to pick up the phone or to leave the situation because that person who's trying to control them or who's already gained control have threatened not only them, but their family members. I have 2 brothers. I did not tell my brothers what was going on. I didn't tell my mother what was going on. I didn't tell anyone what was going on in terms of the domestic violence, the violence in my life when I was enduring it. However, as time went on, I began to reveal bits and pieces of it, little bit at a time, and that took like a couple of decades.
Is your mission more intervention, prevention, and awareness, or all of the above?
All of the above. My whole goal, my whole mission is to prevent abuse and also to protect and to provide strategies on how to not get in that situation in the first place. A lot of times you'll hear people say, well, why don't you just walk away? Why you are in that situation? You should know better. Yeah, they always say things like that. But you know what? Not one time do a person offer you a remedy or a strategy or something that you can do to help you out of that situation, okay? People are quick to condemn and to point the finger and say, you're stupid for being like that. And why you letting that person beat on you like that? Or why you letting that person control you? Or he took your phone and looking through your phone? Why? A lot of times it's just surface stuff, but you got to dig deeper. You got to help the person and first realize that that person do not trust you in the first place for that person to tell you what's really going on inside. So you have a job. You have a divine job, and it takes a minute before you can even gain the trust of the person to tell you things.
The perpetrator, the person who's dishing out the abuse, so to speak, is that person basically insecure, or why? Have you done any studies or read any information about why they do what they do?
Wow. Now, see, that's a very deep question, and that the answer to that can go on and on and on. But
okay.
I'm gonna start from a personal perspective in terms of my family and some of the men and the guys in the neighborhood that I grew up and was around. First of all, our young men don't have any role models. You know, we hear that all the time, and it's true.
With few exceptions.
Well, with very few exceptions. But like I said, I'm gonna talk about how I grew up.
Okay.
You know, on the street, there was no one for our young guys to say, okay, this is what I want to be like in a positive light. What they saw was a lot of negative energy, and that's who they emulated. And we can't say that's right or we can't say that wrong. That's just the way it was. And one of the things that they did was think that to take control of a woman and to beat on a woman was symbolic to being a man, because you had control of your woman or your female or the sister that you was with, you know. But when the brothers learn better, of course they'll do better. So we do need a lot of strong brothers, strong men to step up and kind of take a positive role into a lot of the young guys' lives to help them to understand that there's a right way to do it and there's a right way to do it. I'm not going to even say a wrong way, because wrong means that, you know, they know that it's wrong and they're doing it. However, my mother always said, when you know better, you do better. So obviously somebody missed a beat somewhere along the line, okay? And I feel like all of us are responsible. I get so sick and tired of hearing, Dayle, that people, you know, condemning and knocking our young people and our guys, our young brothers, our young men, and saying things like, what, you know, all they're doing is killing each other. You know, there's so much crime in the street. I hear all the complaints, but I don't hear nobody stepping up to the plate to try to do anything, you know. And to me, you are part of the problem. Be a part of the solution. If you see something is going on, you don't got to try to go up and grab everybody at one time. You can take one person at a time and try to make a difference. And that one person will pass it on to the next person. Of course, our young people are in some serious trouble. I've taught high school and I've taught behavior disordered children, so they say. These are just traditional kids who don't want to learn the traditional way, so you have to think of another way of teaching them, okay? And yeah, they label them bad, they label them special, they give them all these little titles, you know, and the kids begin to believe that that's what they are. They believe they are bad.
Well, unfortunately, some parents who have no scruples are collecting the so-called crazy checks because of it. Well, one lady told me that she was a teacher and she had two children, and they were getting she was getting $700 a month for each one. A third child, why do you want him reevaluated? No, he can't. And so they have programmed some children, I'm told, so that act dumb, act stupid, act dumb down, so that you can qualify for the yet extra $700. Now somebody's got $2,100 to get the latest the latest cell phone, you know, the deluxe one, the latest 24-inch wheels and all of that, and some extra weave or stuff. No annuity, no life insurance, no stocks, no bonds, no savings account, and then now somebody wants to get some help burying somebody. And I guess I know that's a loaded question, but it all evolves around choices and decisions, doesn't it? Of
course it does, Dayle. You know, as I say, everybody that can do better will do better, providing they have somebody to help them to get to that level. What I am doing is helping the young ladies based on my journey, my experiences. Keep It Moving is a program designed for teens. These young girls are going to have children, most of them, eventually. And they're going to be teaching their little boys and their little girls things that's going to be with them for the rest of their lives. So part of my responsibility is to teach the young girls strategies and skills, so that way when they start to have children, they will be equipped to raise their children and to instill in their children certain things that was not instilled the generation before, because life is going to continue. It's going to continue to evolve, and how it evolves in part depends on us. Now, the young ladies that I work with, let's just say, for example, they are, every last one of those young ladies have a child, have a little boy or a little girl. Now, how is that little child or that little girl, that little boy is going to be raised is going to be depending on the mother. Even from the moment of conception, even while that baby is in the womb, that baby is being formed. That child is going to be developed to be a human being, whether they're productive in society or not. We have to turn this thing around. So we have to start teaching the young ladies, who are the mothers of civilization, be it right or be it right, they are the mothers. They are the teachers of us all. They are the first teachers of that baby in the womb. So we have to start turning this thing around by trying to instill in them strategies, practical strategies that they can use every day of their life. Not just go to a program and say, oh, I feel good for the moment, oh, I feel so fired up, and then all of a sudden they get home a couple of weeks and they forget everything. No. Keep It Moving is designed for these young ladies to do something every day of their life that is practical, usable, doable. You don't need to spend any money. All you need is yourself.
Right.
All you need is to believe.
The internet is a great tool, but sometimes it can be misused. And sometimes what future perpetrators, if you will, see a habit of violence on these little video games, imploding, exploding, stabbing, cutting, oop side the head kind of thing. I mean, that's so. I think when they're exposed to that, they try that, and then you're saying the young ladies should not be the backhand of a backhanded slap or a beat down. That's what you're saying? Of
course, that's what I'm saying. They should never be the backhand of a slap or a beat down. They should always be respected. They should always be loved. They should always be valued, and it begins with them loving and respecting and valuing themselves. If they don't love themselves, if they don't value themselves, if they don't respect themselves, then they're not going to demand it from anyone else. So we have to start with them first.
Right. How did you make the tie-in of Keep It Moving, that title, Keep It Moving, to the tie-in with the book Don't Come Down from the Chinaberry Tree? How did you get the two together?
Well, Keep It Moving is movement. It's like action. You don't want to just stay stagnant, because you stay stagnant, you're gonna grow some cobwebs or you're gonna get some pollution going on. So Keep It Moving is like you need to, whatever you're doing, whatever fall you make in your life, whatever thing you think you should have done or didn't do, get up, start something new, keep it moving. Don't just stay stuck there. Don't come down from the Chinaberry tree, and to Keep It Moving comes together because the whole concept of the tree is about endurance. It's about strength. It's about courage. It's about reaching your higher self in terms of who you strive to become as a human being. So Don't Come Down from the Chinaberry tree is actually stay where you're supposed to be, high on a pedestal.
How do you feel now, fast forward years after having been abuse-free? How do you feel as a person? I mean, I'm asking you a question that I obviously know the answer to. You feel good, like James Brown. I feel good, okay? But, I mean, how do you really feel?
Well, of course I feel good, because I won't allow anyone to abuse me physically anymore. However, that's a part of who I am, so it's always there. And I have to be mindful of triggers. I really do. I have to be mindful of my thought process in terms of just staying positive, staying focused.
Not letting your guard down?
Not letting my guard, not letting it down, not being paranoid or anything like that, but just praying every day, meditating every day, eating healthy foods, thinking healthy thoughts, giving back what I have within me to give in a positive way to others.
Right, to others. Somebody like Trilla, standing to the left of you. You've been volunteering at Middleton High School. Tell our audience about how you came to meet a person like Trilla and her friends.
Trilla and about 16 other young ladies are part of the Keep It Moving motivational support group. It's an inspirational and motivational support group there at Middleton High School. And I have a very, very wonderful person, Miss Kathy Waters, who's the intervention specialist,
Oh, yeah,
who, you know, selected the young ladies for the program. And some of the young ladies, they heard about the program and they wanted to be in the program.
So they volunteered?
They volunteered. They volunteer and they come. They come and they participate. They write. They talk. They speak. I mean, we share. We read from the book. Don't Come Down from the Chinaberry Tree. It's just an amazing explosion of energy that comes forth from these young ladies, and they keep it real.
Okay. How long was